Hello, my screenwriters. Today, I'm going to be talking about archetypes in screenwriting and how you can use archetypes to actually help your screenwriting be more impactful. I'm actually going to be doing a series of videos on this, and today this one is going to just cover the very basics of what is an archetype, why use them, and also then how can they help you in your screenwriting so that your screenwriting just has more emotional impact. Because when you deal with this, then that's what you get when you make certain things more archetypal, then that's when you get more emotion out of that situation or character. So first let's look at what is an archetype. You can think of an archetype really as just a prototype of something. So it's a prototype that includes all the positives, all the negatives, anything that you can think of that would be associated with that particular idea or topic. An archetype is the fullest expression of it. It's the fullest representation of everything associated with that particular archetype. So for example, if you think of the archetype of mother, then that would include what we normally think of with mother would be loving and nurturing, that kind of positive association. Home cooking, all of those things have this motherly, nurturing kind of quality. But it also includes something like the mother bear, where if you mess with her babies, she is going to come in and tear you apart. So the mother archetype also has that kind of quality where she can rip you to shreds. And then we also have more of the shadow archetype or shadow side of the mother archetype. And that would be something like the toxic, manipulative, cruel mother in Mommy Dearest, which was about Joan Crawford. Written by her adopted daughter. So she was just very mean and jealous and many different things. So that would be the shadow side of the mother archetype. So all of that is part of the mother archetype. So it's not just one thing that you're going to have every aspect of a given archetype in just one representation. But it's to understand that an archetype has all these different energies, and the biggest key about it is that it represents the fullest expression of any of those emotions or feelings. It represents the fullest expression of that. So the more archetypal you can make a given character and a given quality, then the more emotional impact it will have. So ultimately what we're looking for is extreme versions of some of these archetypal kinds of qualities, and the more extreme it is, then the more powerful and impactful. Of course, it has to fit with the story, it has to flow with it. Not every story is going to have a hugely archetypal energy in a given character, but when you understand this, then there might be certain moments or certain aspects of the character that you can then infuse with more of this archetypal energy to make it more impactful. So we're talking about a devoted mother to the nth degree or a hateful mother to the nth degree, and that is something that would be archetypal. Now you also have other characters such as the sage, the wise old man, which would be like the mentor, the Karate Kid, Miyagi. And one of the things about these archetypal characters is archetypes are something that are deeply ingrained in our psychology and really in the collective unconscious. So we just naturally connect and relate to some of these archetypal energies. So then when you are working with archetypal kind of material, then we will be more connected to that character or more feeling about a given situation. So that's the nature of archetypes and what difference that they make. Another character archetype would be the hero. So you've got Rocky Balboa, who overcomes great odds in his challenge to really take on mastering the skills and overcoming the things that he had to overcome to become a champion and to get to a new place in his life, to transform his belief in himself. So that's what we do with these, with the archetypes. You get kind of a foundation for a character, and then you take them on a journey. And by the way, in some of the upcoming videos that I'll be doing, I'll also talk about the hero's journey and certain points along the way. Additionally, I will take on some of these individual characters and speak about how to incorporate them into your stories, because your archetypal characters, they're not just your main characters, they're also some of your supporting characters. So you can make your script much more interesting and engaging by bringing some of these archetypal energies, some of these recognizable characters, or accelerating and upping their emotional quality when you fully understand this. In addition to archetypal characters, you can have archetypal events. And this is just like the big events in life, such as birth, death, weddings, even graduations. So these big moments in a character's life, and of course characters always represent human beings, so the big moments in your characters' lives, these big events, graduations, promotions, things like that, these peak experiences. So that's one of the reasons that many times you'll see a romantic comedy end in a wedding, because it's an archetypal moment, and it just naturally, whether we want to or not, we just feel that sense of happiness that they got together and hope is alive for love and romance. Again, it's all about these archetypal moments. Or even one of my favorite movies is Driving Miss Daisy, and part of the catharsis of that is that she passes away, and then we see the man who had become the black man who had become her best friend, Hoke. He lives on, and we just see what happens after the fact and how they had made such a difference in each other's lives. So in that case, her death was one of the peak experiences, one of those archetypal moments that made that script so powerful. Of course, we built up to it, and that was just, again, it was having that ending with that archetype. There's just something that it has us experience a catharsis out of seeing that. One other type of archetypal thing, archetypal something that you can bring energy to, is an archetypal moment. And what I mean by that is, let's say there's a moment when a character gets called into the boss's office, and they think they're going to get the promotion that they've been wanting finally after 30 years. And they go in only to learn that they are being fired and replaced by someone much younger. Then at that point, your character suddenly feels, what is my life about? I've devoted my life to this company, and now they're just throwing me away like a piece of trash. And so that is one of those peak experiences. And the great thing about these peak experiences, or these moments like this, is that then it puts your character into a situation where they get to deal with the deep emotions of life. And then as the audience, then we get to watch that. And there's something that happens inside us as human beings when we see these characters have these archetypal experiences. It actually evokes that emotion inside of us, and it actually helps us come to terms with it as well in our own lives. Oftentimes, when you have one of these archetypal moments, like I just talked about, it could also be you get a call from your child saying, now that they're 18, they're not coming back home. They're going to stay wherever, or they've run off, or whatever it is. So it's just like one of those moments where your character gets news or something, and then again, a lot of times you have something like that at the beginning of your script as an inciting incident, which kicks the story off, and then we see what happens with your main character after they've had some kind of news of surprise like that. So again, your archetypal moments, but those can also happen in the middle of the story, where let's say a couple has been going along, planning to get married and all of that, and then they find out their partner has been cheating. And so there's this moment, like, what do I do with this? And by the way, one of the things that I see, one of the common mistakes I see, is that when writers put those moments in where they get certain news, they don't let us see the reaction, or they just, let's say that we know that someone's going to call and give them some news, and the character is listening, and they are on the phone or the phone is ringing, and then the writer cuts away and we don't get to see that moment. The juice is in these given moments. You got to make sure that you keep in your script the moments with the most impactful emotions, and don't get around those. And part of the reason I think it happens is because you as a writer have to actually deal with that emotion to be able to write it. And that's one of the ways you grow as a human being while you're doing your screenwriting, because you've got to deal with and grapple with and feel these emotions as well. That's why it also takes a lot of courage to be a screenwriter or a novel writer, just a storyteller, when you're tapping into these deep, heavy emotions. Now, as you can imagine, I could say so much about this, and I'm really excited to be sharing more about this in the upcoming videos. But I just want to give you a bite at a time, so I'm not going to make this too long. It's already getting a little bit long. But just to reiterate for this video, an archetype is a prototype of everything that you could associate with a concept of something, like all the descriptions you could give that archetype, the positives, the negatives, all of it. All those are the archetypal energies associated with a given archetype. And then when you're working with that given archetype, you're not going to try to show all of it. You're going to show an aspect of that in your character, and you're going to expand it to be as big as possible. That's how you incorporate it. Again, these archetypal energies can show up in your characters, the peak experiences or events of life, and then also in certain moments in certain scenes. So you can use these a number of different ways. And it actually, when you understand these, you will see that you can use them in your script, but they also show up in your life. And you just see that you naturally have a response to something, and it's coming from that place that relates to just what these archetypal energies, these deepest feelings are. And I'm not going to say too much more about that, because like I said, I could go on a lot about it, because this is one of my things that I love and my passion. The overall benefit and value of understanding these archetypes is that it will help you make your scripts more impactful emotionally, and it'll tap more into authenticity and into deeper emotions about a given story or situation, have people relate more to your characters. So it's very, very powerful. Now, I'm Dr. Melody Jackson. I have a Ph.D. in Mythological Studies, and so naturally it would make sense that I'm super passionate about this. If this is something that you're interested in, of course I would like you to subscribe to this video channel. Depending on where this is placed, subscribe, like. If we're on YouTube, then just make sure you click the little bell so you get notifications of additional videos that I'm going to be doing. And then also in the below the video, you'll see some links where you can also get on my mailing list and get some more information, because I do work with screenwriters in a number of different ways. And I've critiqued 2,500, actually over 2,500 screenplays, and I would love to work with you on this if it's something that you're interested in. Okay, so thanks for watching, and I hope that you've found some value in this. Please feel free to share in the comments anything that you see that you could specifically apply to your screenplay, or how you could use this. Take care, and we'll be back soon.